So when I was 4 years old, many, many years ago, my mother was going to have a baby. And because we were kind of uptight people, we wanted to have a boy so that our family would be symmetrical, 2 girls and 2 boys. So I remember even hoping for this as my mother was in labor. And sure enough, she had a boy, and his name was Johnny. And he was a really gorgeous little baby. He could have been one of those Gerber models. And he was very lively as well. But at 6 months of age, he started to get black and blue marks along his midriff from kind of banging against his high chair. And my mom took him to the doctor, and they did a lot of tests and found out that he had a very, very grave illness called hemophilia. And it was a tough thing because he was so lively, and my mother was told to encourage him to enjoy life as much as he could, given his illness. And to kind of sum up how difficult it was, there was no insurance for hemophiliacs at that time. This was the 50s. Because their life expectancy was about 16 years of age, 20 tops. And of course, as little kids, we thought 20 was way, way far away. And my dad was a lumber broker, so he worked on commission entirely. And because there was no insurance, and there were times when he made a good living and other times when things were kind of lean, it was a lot to handle. And my mom was a very compassionate person, and it was extremely difficult for her to be running to the hospital with a life and death situation as frequently as she did. And one example of this illness was when Johnny went to the dentist, and our dentist at the time slipped the drill, and he started to bleed in his gum, and that ended up being a 3-week stay in the hospital to get the bleeding stopped. And of course, bleeding in the joints was also something that came with the disease, and that would make the joints stiff. So he had a very positive attitude, given that he was given a death sentence when he was born. So at age 9, he succumbed to his illness, and it was one thing that we were thankful for during this tragic time was that my mother did not have to witness it. And this was the case because she had died 6 weeks prior. So the poor little guy had to face his last day without his mom. So it was a horrendously sad time. And as the years went by, my sister and I were both told that we shouldn't have children because hemophilia is what they call a sex-linked disease, meaning that the mother carries it to the son. Girls can't get it under rare circumstances. If a carrier, who was a girl, married a hemophiliac, then their child might have it. So my dad said, you shouldn't have any children, either one of you, because we don't want this disease to go on. So in time, my sister married, and she had a healthy boy. And we all felt very relieved with that. And I married shortly after, and I told my husband at the time, we're not going to have any children because we don't want to get this disease going. So, I don't know, maybe a couple months into the marriage, I started getting pressure from my in-laws. Thank you very much. And he was an only child, so that was their only hope of having grandchildren. And they really wanted grandchildren, so it was up to me to provide that. And I resisted for a while, and then somebody said, well, why don't you go talk to a blood specialist downtown? So I did. I went and talked to him, and he said that it had not shown up in the family tree before. Sometimes it can skip 9 generations. And he felt that my chances were good, especially since my sister had had a healthy boy. So despite a lot of anxiety, we went ahead and we had a baby boy, and he was completely healthy. We were very grateful. Then about 6 years later, my daughter came along, and this was wanted for sure, but it wasn't the best timing because my husband was bottoming in alcoholism. And when she was born, he finally got his butt into AA, and so that was that put my heart at ease a little bit. But I was very worried about the health of the child again. And we had a girl, so we didn't have to worry. And I was talking to my pediatrician about this, and he said, well, they have a new test now down at Children's Memorial. And you can go down there and they'll test you, and it's definitive. So I drove down there and answered all their questions and gave them my blood and so forth. And a week later, I got a call from the hospital, and they said, Mrs. Stevens, you are a carrier of hemophilia. So this was an extremely poignant moment. I had 2 feelings at once, one kind of a terror, and then the overwhelming feeling of gratitude that I had gotten under the wire. I had escaped my destiny. I had escaped my DNA. So every time I went to church after that, I would cry. Not sad tears, but gratitude tears. And the thing with the daughter is that if she doesn't have any more children, she hasn't so far, that the disease will die out. So that's what we're all hoping. Now I know that the theme tonight is in the stars. I don't know much about the stars. I don't follow astronomy or astrology. But I do know who made them. And I believe he answered my prayers. Thank you.